What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Werewolf by Night. Something I had no idea what it was. I just looked on a list of things in the MCU to watch and in what order they were released, and this was on the list, and I have no idea. I did ask my friend about it, and just to see if it was something that I had to watch. Is it something that ties in? And he did say it was a good watch. It was a fun time, and it may connect some stuff later. So, and I think I'm glad I saw it. You know, it was definitely a nice palate cleanser after She-Hulk for sure, because it was actually a fun time. It had some good jokes. Most of them were more dark humor jokes, which I think does help since I'm a fan of dark humor. But the action was a lot of fun. The characters were a lot of fun. There's not much depth to this. I think if I did have one criticism of this little special, it's calling it Werewolf by Night. And how they set up a lot of this, it does make it kind of obvious what it's going to be pretty early on. Because they talk about something along the lines of, with all of these hunters gathered, it would be a dangerous place for a monster to be. And then they cut to the main guy, Jack. And at that point, I'm like, okay, so he's probably the werewolf then, since it's called Werewolf by Night. So what is he doing here? And then they start talking about what's going on. They talk about hunting the monster. Thinking, okay, so I had to take a guess based on what you presented me and the idea that he's probably a werewolf, going to assume that he's trying to help the monster get out of there. And that's basically what it was. The whole story with the daughter of Bloodstone and all of that was a little bit of a nice surprise. Like, I wasn't really sure what was going on with her. I figured it was one of those, she didn't really want to be there. She didn't really want to get in the family business, but based on how her and her stepmom reacted, I figured it was kind of I want to show her up. I want to show her that I can be a good monster hunter. So I didn't know it was just about getting the stone and basically putting an end to what the family does and all of that. But I thought their team up was justified. I do think the scene there, as he's about to be changed, and he talks about, there's one time that he managed to remember somebody when he turned. I don't know. I do wish it wasn't so much of this doesn't happen very often. It's only happened one time, because then it feels like if it happens, then it's a Deus Ex Machina, and that's basically what happens. So I feel like I would have liked it a bit better if maybe this is something that he's done before, but maybe it's been a while, so he's not entirely sure if it'll work, but it has worked. He's done it in the past. Because to me, what it sounds like when he says one time, it implies that it was possibly a lover, possibly somebody who's close to. So it made it a lot easier for that remembering to happen whenever he turned. That's what's on my mind, but there's no way to know for sure. I'm sure we'll probably figure out more about these characters in future Marvel products. There's just an implication there that the person that he connected with before, that he remembered in his werewolf form, was somebody who was a lot closer with. So the idea that, I can just sniff you, I can get your scent, and I'm just going to remember, it does make it feel a lot less likely and makes this feel more of it happened to work. What a coincidence. But those are really the only two things, were just the predictability and then the kind of cheesiness of, hey, this thing that I don't think is going to work. It worked. Everything else was a lot of fun. The different hunters that they brought in, they were all very unique in their designs, and some of them were even a little creepy as well. So I thought it was a fun group to introduce, to basically be the meat bags that get killed in this. I think the stepmother was appropriately insane and bitchy, which really worked. It's basically like if you put an Umbridge type character in that role, I think it works well every time, because you just can't wait to see them get their comeuppance in the end. So that was definitely some fun villains for them to go up against. Honestly, the action was a lot darker than I expected, and not just, obviously the lighting in this was pretty dark. I was not expecting there to be so many rather gruesome kills. It was a lot of blood stains, a lot of blood smearing the camera. Don't know how all that works, but yeah, it was pretty fun setup though, and they had some fun with it. It definitely was not something intended for kids, so that, I'm sure parents probably got upset that, this is a Marvel thing and it's on Disney Plus and my kids can watch it. Okay, well then why don't you keep an eye on what your kids are watching, or put the parental controls on if you really don't want them to watch it? How hard is that? But no, I think it's fun though to see Marvel sort of dipping their toes into some other genres. As much as I didn't like the sitcom-y feel of She-Hulk, having it be kind of a courtroom comedy could be funny if the jokes were just funnier. Seeing that they've gone a bit into the horror element, we've seen Multiverse of Madness was kind of mostly a horror movie at times. This was very clearly a horror special. It's interesting to see whenever they decide to do something that's not just, hey, we're doing a superhero thing. If it's done well, I don't mind it. I don't mind seeing different things. It's just when it's not done well, and also it's not feeling like a superhero thing, that's when I kind of have to sit here and go, what am I doing here? Why am I watching something Marvel that's not fun, actiony, and also is not a superhero film? That's kind of where I start to feel like this wasn't as good. This was not as well executed. The decision to make it black and white, I do think, worked in its favor, especially whenever the monsters got introduced, because it allowed them to maybe go a little cheaper on the CGI, maybe go a little cheaper on the effects, but you couldn't really tell because the black and white managed to mask some of that. I think that's fine. As much as we like to think that everything needs to be perfect with CGI and special effects these days, I don't think it always has to be. People make mistakes. Sometimes it's just not possible to make things look super extremely realistic, especially at this time because what was this? Yeah, 2022. This was before Marvel kind of made their decision to take a step back and stop releasing so much. So yeah, they had to get a lot of stuff out quickly, which means a lot of their work is going to look a bit cheaper and a little bit less real. So I don't mind using little tricks and stuff to make your cheaper CGI look more realistic. I think it's a fun element and it can add to it without, one, driving the budget way too high as well for something that's just going to be on Disney Plus, I assume. And also, if you need to get it out quicker, if you're a team that's working on it and you have a deadline to meet, I kind of have to sympathize with that. It's more so the overarching company that I have an issue with, that are forcing this team to push everything out so quickly. But yeah, as far as just this story goes and where it's going to go next, I don't know. I don't really know what to expect from these characters. I don't know why they're introducing this. I know Blade hunts vampires, and I can't remember the name of the character now that was in Eternals. The one guy that had the sword at the end. I think he's supposed to have something to do with monster hunting, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. It was a very interesting little tangent, though, to go off on. And for what it is, I think it works fine. Again, it's definitely nothing spectacular, but for me personally, it was a nice palate cleanser. And overall, I think it's a decently fun time. I'm personally not much of a horror fan, so definitely the jump scares and all of those things, I'm not as much of a fan of that. So that's more of a personal thing for me. But from what I do like, the Marvel aspect of it, the cinematic aspect of it, I thought it was perfectly fine and executed pretty well. So all in all, good time, and I don't really think there's much else to say about it. So all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this little special thing? Let me know. We can talk about, discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Marvel reviews. Also check out the channel. We have a lot of reviews on there, as well as a couple of Let's Plays going on, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.